Welcome to the Empress Lioness, a sacred space where the spirit roars and the soul remembers everything. In each episode, we sit with visionaries, founders, creators, and healers. I'm your host, Karen Mitchell. All right. Some stories are not written for applause. They are written because the soul gets tired of carrying the truth alone. Today's conversation is for the woman who knows her story matters, even if it costs her something to live it. This episode is about voice, it's about courage, and about what matters when a woman decides her truth will no longer be hidden. Today, I'm honored to welcome Haseena Shaheed-Jackson, an author, transformational coach, storyteller, and truth teller whose work speaks to lived experience, resilience, and the power of naming what so many are afraid to say out loud. This is not just a conversation about writing a book. It's a conversation about identity, survival, and choosing to be seen. Welcome, Haseena.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. I have to say, oh, I need you to write that down for me so I can use it. Thank you.
Listen, all due respect to you and everything that you've accomplished, not just for yourself, but for other women that are in that or on that path trying to get to that place. So thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you for having me here today.
So before we talk about your work as an author and a transformational coach, I want to begin with you. Who you were before the world ever read your words, and what part of your life shaped the voice you write from today?
Who was I before I found out who I was, before the world? I think about I was that scared child who really didn't know what I could do because I was allowing my environment to limit who I could become, because I was raised by blue collar workers, and my mother and father, they were great parents. So I was in no way in a unhappy home. But however, their mindset was, you go to college, you go to high school, get your diploma, and then after that you find a trade and you get married, and that's it. But then I had a woman one day who was my gym teacher, who saw me every day going home with a little folded up piece of paper. And she looked at me, and one day she called me in and she said, Shaheed, because she called me by my last. She said, Shaheed, get over here. And I was like, oh my goodness. And this woman was only 4 feet tall. But she packed a punch, And I thought to myself, what did I do wrong? And I was mentally going through my mind everything I could have did wrong between the last time I saw her and when I saw her today, because I would see her every week. And she says, I see you every day, just going home with this little piece of paper. Where are your books and where is your book bag? Look like, is she stalking me? How does she know what I'm doing every day? So it was her who catapulted me to believe that I could be more.
Yes.
And that's what started my journey.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And every book begins long before the first page. What was happening in your life when you knew this story had to be written, not just remembered?
Well, I started out, because this is my 4th book, Journey to Sight. So my first 2 books were really daily words. And I started them, the daily words, because one, I was in my own journey of walking in faith and spirituality, because that is one of my top values, is faith and spirituality. And I had a friend who said, who writes these words? And I said, I do. I was like, what do you mean? And she says, she said, girl, those words are good. And I thought to myself, and I planted one seed. And then I was talking to my husband, who I'm married to, my second husband, and he said, well, why don't you publish a daily word book? And so that began that journey. And then as time progressed, it's really God put upon my heart. He always drops the books on me because it started with Reflections from Within, went to Messages from the Spirit, and then Created to Soar. As you can see, it's a journey because the problem
Yeah.
today was that we don't reflect. Two, we don't listen to the messages from the Spirit. And
Yeah.
three, we don't believe that we're created to soar because we want to believe that we're supposed to walk around like the chickens on the ground instead of soaring like the eagles that we can be in our life. And then we need to realize, that we
It's
can
true.
see all right, that we can see beyond the invisible. So we can take the invisible and make it visible. And that's what Journey to Sight was all about. How you can turn the unseen into being seen.
Oh, wow. What did writing this book require you to face?
My own my own fears of taking those steps to really step out and get uncomfortable because we all have those safety nets of working a job. But then I realized, but you chase one rabbit at a time, right?
Yeah.
So if you get good at that one rabbit, then it's time for you to move on to chase that second rabbit. So I had to face that comfortability of saying, yeah, I can go to work every day. However, I worked in a hostile environment. So I had to learn that I had to get out of my own way to believe in what I could do and not who people told me that I could do.
And so many women carry their truth quietly because they're so afraid of how it's going to be received by society or even by their own family members. What version of yourself did you have to release in order to step fully into your voice as a writer?
Well, my family has always been supportive. I'll never, like my sister, I love her to death. She is my biggest cheerleader. And actually, she is on my board on my non-for-profit Ava's Pathway, and she is amazing. She's a dynamo. And my husband, he's always behind me, pushing me and telling me that I can do it. I had a few friends when I stepped out who said, "Are you really going to, start your own business? And why do you want to do more?" And I thought, because life is about being a change maker.
Yeah,
Barack Obama, his quote resonates with me. If you want to see change, you be the change. Stop waiting for other people. And I
that is
really
true.
truly believe that if we want to see a different world, then we have to be the person that is sparking and driving people to be that different world.
That is true. I always tell my listeners that be the change that you want to see, if that's what you
Yes.
want to do, if you want to make a change. But was there a moment you almost stopped writing when finishing the book, when like it felt like the book was too heavy?
No, let me tell you this story. I laugh because I shared this before. I've always been a writer. I love to write. When I was little, I would read a book in 2 days and I would be like, man, the book is over with. Now what I'm going to do. So I've always been a writer. So I never was going to give up on writing. What I have found is that I write too much,
Oh,
and I have to pull back and say that's way too much information and we need to cut it off here and maybe that's dealing with a whole different subject that you'll maybe bring up later on. So I never thought about quitting. What was funny though, the first version that I gave my publisher, she's like, this might not be the way you want to go. I think we should start this over from a different perspective. And you think to yourself, but I just sat and wrote all that. And so I took a different perspective and it really caused me to see things in a different light. Some of the things in my life that I looked at differently in the beginning. When you write about it, you really reflect on it and it helps you to have clarity
yeah,
and really understand the truth because you follow the evidence. Today we want to base things on opinions, but we don't want the truth. And I'm a truth finder.
wow, that is true. You're absolutely right. And when a woman closes your book for the last time, what do you hope she understands about herself?
I hope she understands that she can become whoever she chooses to be if she just believes. Because what's powerful to me is that, and I'm a person of the word, it says, blessed is she who believes that the Lord will fulfill his promises. So first you have to believe And I want her to tell me what she believes about herself. I'm hoping that when she finishes that book, she's writing what she believes. What are her truths? Not that she's a wife, she's a mom, she's a receptionist, she's an executive, or whatever her title is in the world, but who is it that she really says she is? And then what are those values that she holds dear to herself, and that she's walking in those values, doing what she wants to do versus just conforming into what others in her circle or her job says that she has to do. And then I want her to think about what will it take for her to become what she wants to be, and not basing it on the title, and then surround herself with a community that will help her along in that journey. So I want that woman to leave there being energized and inspired to say, hey, I can be my own businesswoman. But don't look at it as you have to take this big step of the first day. I'm calling your boss. Well, remember, I'm not coming in today and I'm never coming back.
You're
No.
right.
It's really, okay, so what is one step? If you want to be a writer, let's just put that out there. What's the first step you need to take? But first what do you want to write about? And what is the pain point you're addressing? So you have to really break it down into small steps and really think about it and the course that you need to take first. That's what I want that woman to understand.
Wow. Okay. So I know you also do transformational coach also. Tell us a little bit about your work. Because when you say transformation, what are you actually looking to change or have that person to change within herself?
Excuse me, when I think about transformation, it goes back to, that's okay, I understand that. I think about, again, it goes to, who do you say you are? And who do you want to be? So that gap in between who you say you are and who you want to be, it's where are you right now, though, in that process? And then how do we get to that step? So what do you need to do? The habits, the affirmations, the mindset, the attitudes, all those things that you need to adapt to move you on that course to bridge that gap, because the whole thing is about bridging that gap. And we have to, and it could be doubt, it could be fear, but we have to understand what are the underlying beliefs. I'm looking at a workshop now talking about money, but what is our beliefs about money?
Right.
A lot of us think that money is for consumption, but that's not what money is for. So we have to uncover what is really your beliefs about what it is that you want to do or what you're doing, and how will that get you there?
Oh, wow. That's great. And so I want you to speak to the women that are listening right now who feel like she's tried everything, but she still feels stuck. What do you think that you might be missing?
Well, and I really can't say exactly what they're missing, because really coaching is a conversation. And I really feel that the person needs to have that discovery. But if you feel stuck, the first step to you, though, is getting with a coach or someone who can help you really take that journey to uncover what is holding you back. I mean, let's think about it. Let's say you want to go to the gym. You say, well, New Year started, I'm going to go to the gym every day. And so you say that to yourself the night before. But however, the first step needs to be that you put those clothes out. So when you immediately jump out the bed, your workout clothes are ready.
I'm your host, Karen Mitchell.